Alright, happenings in YouTube atheist community and Instagram fun. Boy, my back is still fucked. Anyway, so taking little steps. So this camera's definitely gonna run out of memory before I get where I'm going. But anyway, yeah, last night, interesting night in Stickham. Strange, bizarre, whatever. Had its good moments. Coughlin, who's celebrating his 2-year anniversary, link to the video. It's pretty good. It was in the room for a while, so that was nice. Karina was there, looked lovely as always. Even lovelier, actually. Which was a little depressing, but you know, shit happens. So, yeah, we talked to different subjects. Some of them were pretty good, actually. Can't think of what the hell they were at the moment, but they were pretty good. Oh yeah, we talked about some couple of German philosophers. So it was a little dangerous. And so that was pretty good. Schopenhauer, or whatever the hell his name is. Schopenhauer, whatever it was. Whatever. It's not the guy with the cat. It's the guy with the eugenics stuff and the kind of negative life sucks part. But again, not the complete picture. And I sort of made the argument that why do we argue philosophers? Why don't we argue philosophy? But no one cared for that argument much. So I guess we'll name drop forever. But anyway, that's not the point. I guess I have to bring up the subject that was just, you know, kind of ruined the ending of the evening, because I dropped the N-bomb, and I did it in a context. And this is, I'll even make this into a free will argument, because I could see my brain saying, yes, use the word. This is the appropriate context. This is the exact context the word should be used in. So I was talking about my ancestors. Earlier I talked about how they were animal slaughtering, fur trading lunatics. And I was talking about that they had a slave. You know, I mean, it wasn't technically a slave. It was Canada. It was after slavery. But you could see in the person that every part of their life was still living a kind of servitude. You could see that, you know, he never made more than 5 cents a day in his life. And I was just talking about the character that you could read into this person through this photograph, and how it just stuck out in my head. I mean, of, you know, all of my family photographs, this is one of the top 10, and he's obviously not a member of my family. So anyway, yeah, so I used the word like in that context, that this was our, you know, and that, you know, my family's, and then I talked about, you know, his life, you know, what you could read into it from the picture, about how all his clothes were just, you know, you could see were just decades old and stitched together, and, you know, that this person has to exist at this meager level, and, you know, how, you know, this is the nature of the beast, in that somebody gets labeled or gets defined as something, and then people feel okay, that they, you know, they probably felt good about themselves when they're giving him his nickel for building their house or something. And you can just see it, and it just shows all the character in his face and his hands, the work. But anyway, I won't even go into that part. So anyway, there's this guy who's in the room before, a black guy, nice enough. I mean, we agree half the time, we argue half the time. And so as I was in this little bit of a conversation about that, he says, "Did you just say it?" You know, the N-word. And it was like, well, duh, asshole. What do you think I said? I mean, I didn't say bigger. I didn't say fligger. You know what I mean? You fucking idiot. And I said the word exactly the way it should be said, pointing out how Whitey is a scumbag, an asshole, a moron, and how these people were completely abused and mistreated and put in a not given a fair contract, let's say that. You know, second class, third class, whatever you want to call it, disadvantage and cheat. They weren't living on any fucking Getty money, that's for goddamn sure. The legacy was pain and suffering. Well, anyway, I'm going to the whole thing. So anyway, I mean, I've done videos, I've paid my dues, so to speak, to be cut a little bit of slack, especially people who've heard me talk before. I mean, I'm never talking the white man's rhetoric. You know, I'm talking the commie rhetoric, if anything. So it's just such bullshit to have somebody insult me, you know, with that implication that my use was somehow inappropriate or deserved scrutiny. Like I said, I've paid my dues on that word. I am the one. You'll find more videos coming out of my mouth than anyone else on YouTube, I bet, if you add them up, where I'm the one saying it's not a word for Whitey to be abusing or using. And that's just a fact. So I'm the wrong person to throw that insinuation at. So anyway, I kicked him out of the room. I said, fuck this shit. We're not going there. And yeah, that's the end of it. And it was, you know, it was uncomfortable, awkward, and unpleasant. And it really shouldn't have been. when you think about the 9 zillion uses of that fucking word in these frivolous, idiotic contexts that do nothing but endorse its reality as a word to insult people rather than define or describe their character. And again, I use the word character more than one time in my description. Another element of will, where my brain, having talked about Martin Luther King, associates this conversation with that word and used it quite deliberately. So I mean, it's all the elements of I would almost argue almost perfect use of the word were there. So anyway, the image is in the background here, and you can judge for yourself whether as I've described the conversation, there was anything meant to insult or malign or belittle or insult or degrade the integrity of the black race, because there fucking goddamn wasn't. But anyway, it is a great picture. It's one of those pictures you say that tells picture worth 1,000 words. Well, there are 1,000 eloquent words you can write out of that picture. So anyway, enough of that shit. The rest of the night was just really random. Uh-oh. I said random. My will there, I don't know. We'll just call that a Freudian slip. Since that's a word I'm trying to weed out of my vocabulary. So it must have been on the surface just because I'm focusing on getting it the hell out of my head. Yeah, it was, kind of just bounced along, let's say, in a manner that one couldn't easily dissect or understand. Yeah, and there was a lot of lag in the room early, and that was a real problem. Really inhibited rational, reasonable conversation. But the nature of the evolution of the conversation sort of does that too. We have talked about almost everything more than once, and yeah, unless I come to the room with some sort of agenda, I think it is going to get kind of sloppy sometimes. And so that's my responsibility, and I'll have to decide whether I'm going to pay the full price of 2 weeks to cam, or just keep paying a minor price. The lower price, the sale price, do the off-brand version. But anyway, I do appreciate people showing up still, even though some of it can be kind of pointless. I mean, it's just weird, but you can go from hard philosophy 1 minute and then be talking about fucking movies the next, and it's just all over the place. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm not going to defend it, and I'm not going to say it's not worth something, because I think it's worth something. I don't know what, but it's worth doing, I think. I think this is what communication requires, is to play with these mediums, even if they get sloppy and messy. So, speaking of that, I did submit my little 4-part video, because I had to cut my damn videos into 5-minute hunks, because they were all over 11 minutes, for that stupid life in a day thing, where I just play along. I was a little disappointed. I mean, the videos are kind of nice. I mean, I was, I wasn't speaking too fast, and I was, whatever, nicer background, a little prettier maybe. But I just didn't like the flow of my conversation, so that was kind of disappointing. They just weren't my best videos, so it was probably a little bit of a waste of time. And it was a hassle uploading them. The whole thing is kind of lame. They did fix the little broken icon thing, which is funny, but they fixed it in a funny way. I guess it was easier for them to move the text than it was to change the icons. So they made "what do you fear" the first question, which is kind of a negative way to start off, right? So I thought that was kind of funny. Instead of "what do you love." It's funny how people kind of think those are contrasting words, and even though they do have an attraction-repulsion nature, the concepts they're very different, because what we fear is, in most cases, I mean 90% of cases, our fears are sort of learned. I mean, we have the innate wiggly, squirmy, slimy fear thing, but otherwise our fears are usually of something that's harmed us in our life. It's a real tangible, understandable, even rational fear, where where our life experience teaches us to be apprehensive. And the desire-love thing, that one's so full of, conditioning, and has this ambiguous, arbitrary nature to it, where we don't really get to have any logical say in what we have a passion for. But anyway, that's a whole other video, and such. So anyway, we'll call that. Anyway, I gotta quit doing that. The A word. But anyway, Yeah, so eventually these what the fucks I think will go back to what they used to be, which is more talk about what other atheists are doing, and less talk about Stickam or something like that. I'll make 2 separate videos or whatever, but I ain't gonna do it today. I haven't been watching the atheist community, it's that simple. So I don't got much to say about what they're doing. I did hear Lucy Green is doing some charity event, but, you know, I was of the opinion that Lucy Green is kind of a self-serving, manipulating bitch. And so it's like the amazing atheist doing charity. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's like making a coat out of it. Look, I made a coat out of my charity. I made a coat out of it. It's like they're slaughtering the charity and using its guts for some self-serving purpose. And then, but they can still say, look how well I served. You know, as I served myself. Well, whatever. I'm a good person. Here's the proof. Kind of bullshit. Anyway, enough of that crap. So, thank you for tolerating me, those of you who do. And I'll talk to you later.